Vegans that started eating meat again, what happened? I know someone who was a vegetarian for 13 years simply because someone told them they couldn't do it. I guess he figured 13 years was enough to prove a point and went back to eating meat after. Got cancer. Ate whatever my body would take without throwing up, and that just happened to be chicken nuggets. Homeless and pregnant equals eat what I was given. My parents had a friend who developed terminal cancer, and through veganism, she was trying to extend her life. Her husband was super supportive and turned vegan with her. They maintained that lifestyle for almost 5 years, and then one day she was like, "No. I need a burger." So she decided she wanted to eat all the meat and cheese and ice cream or whatever because she wanted to enjoy her life and food however she wanted in her last days. Her husband had kind of built his personality around the veganism and was a little salty about her decision tbh, and he decided to stay a vegan. She ate whatever she wanted, and the cancer took her about a year later, and he low-key blamed her meat eating for it. I thought it was kind of sad how he reacted, but I'm glad she was able to enjoy life however she wanted at the end. The vegan police appeared and took away all of my telekinetic powers. Really bad breakup. I was homeless for a while and barely surviving. No family anywhere who could help. Folks at work noticed I had stopped eating and started bringing me food. One day someone mixed up the vegetarian Chipotle burrito with the chicken one. That chicken was so damn good. I went to Chipotle the next day for another chicken burrito and never looked back. I was raised vegetarian, so I'd never had meat before. Once I was on vacation with my best friend and his parents made steak just for the two of us. I ate it purely out of politeness, and it was the best thing I'd ever had in my whole life. Not my story, but a good friend of mine was vegetarian, very nearly vegan, for over 10 years. One day she was in Costco and walked past the rotisserie chickens. Without thinking she put it in her cart. When she got home, she stood over the sink and ate it with her bare hands. She had no idea what came over her. Her telling me this story is still one of the funniest things I've ever heard. She is still very plant-forward in her eating, but she won't hesitate to order a burger or a steak when she wants it now. I got poor, man shrugging was vegan for 10 years, and then I lost my job in a very expensive city. I had family in the area and they would invite me over for dinner and I couldn't be picky. I still eat vegan 80% of the time now, but I'll never turn down good food. I was 6 months pregnant with my oldest and got a craving, like dreaming about it, nothing else would do craving for steak. I ate 2 very large medium rare ribeyes and felt better than I had in months. After that I had meat like once every couple weeks until I got pregnant again. Now it's more like vegetarian Friday. My partner was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder, so he can no longer eat gluten/wheat, yeast, most nightshades, dairy, some nuts, and more, without having some degree of reaction. Nothing deadly but miserable nonetheless. So that crossed off most meat, tofu is alright most of the time, most dairy replacements are nut-based, and most vegetable dishes start to get boring when you can't use peppers or tomatoes. We still don't eat beef though, because it's been so long that even consuming a small portion has uncomfortable to downright painful side effects. Not vegan, but long-term vegetarian with friends who are/have been vegan. 2 long-term vegan friends recently became omnivores again. I think it first started with international travel, where they felt that they couldn't get a real feel for locations/cultures by limiting themselves to vegan food. It can also be difficult to ensure food is vegan if you're not good with the language. I think they also are trying to eat less processed foods, and it can be easy to fall into heavily processed foods with a vegan diet, particularly some of the fake meats. I did not have the time, money, or energy to do things properly. I know people will argue that you can do it easily and cheaply. Maybe they can, but I never managed to do that. To eat food that I enjoyed eating, to eat food that was nutritious and filling, and to eat food that was inexpensive all, for me, took a large amount of my time to achieve. The alternative to that was purchasing pre-made foods, tofurkey sausages and other pre-made meals, which was expensive and also not overly healthy due to the amount of sodium things often contain. For me, it was just easier to give it up. I still don't overly eat a lot of meat. I will occasionally have chicken or fish, but not often. Dairy, eggs and honey are things I have with a lot more frequency. Again, I am not saying that it is impossible to be vegan and eat nutritious, delicious meals that are inexpensive, but I found that it was beyond what I was capable of doing for myself. I grew up and realized that my reasons for going vegan as a teenager were just fronts for disordered eating. I still make an effort to live and eat sustainably, but without the hard and fast restrictions of veganism. I eat meat 2 to 3 times per week now. Also, when I moved to a new city, I found it difficult/awkward to explain my dietary restrictions when I was invited to new friends' houses, etc. So you care more about your social comforts than animals/the planet, yes. My view is that sustainability in the food realm means making intentional choices that keep you healthy and happy and minimize waste. This was years and years ago, but I was drained and just felt quite malnourished as a vegan. I went to a new steakhouse in town and my friends ordered me a tomahawk as a joke. I ate it and afterwards, plus the day after, I felt like a new man. I haven't looked back. I was vegetarian, but commenting, I started losing hair. Very obviously. I'm one of the many people who just doesn't produce, maintain not produce, enough natural B12 and not eating red meat was impacting me physically. Editing to say, as a female having a receding hairline is just not something I'd considered ever happening. After nearly 30 years of no meat and no thought of meat, I started craving it hard. I figured that was my body telling me something. Now I eat a little chicken and pork. All the meat I buy is local and humanely raised. I have since realized that what I eat isn't nearly as important as how and where my food was grown/raised. This might sound like an insufferable flex, but I can proudly say that 90% of what I eat was produced within 30 miles of me at locations I could visit if I wanted. Big qualifier, I own a farm, so grow all my own produce and fruit.